Well, here's part 2 of our Dolomite trip. We got picked up by the custom bus at the airport, and we got bussed onto the narrow roads of Italy, heading to San Cassiano. Now these roads are pretty narrow, and that bus was pretty big, and nobody was giving any quarter. The scenery was pretty picturesque. The little Italian villages, the mountains in the background, and eventually we came to a steep drop into the valley where San Cassiano is. After a quick drive, we got to our lodgings at the Stur, which was like this 4-star accommodation. Unbelievable. Now, not to dawdle, but we got right out, went to the gondola that was just a quick walk from our hotel room, and rode to the top of the ski lift. Uh-oh, jet lag. On the top of the ski lift, there was a beautiful little ski village with beautiful vistas. You can see that the whole area has changed from the urban environment of Venice. Hey, what's that? Looks like a torture device if you don't do your hike. And it looks like you're almost in Switzerland. And all over those hillsides that are nice and green are cows, and the cowbells are ringing. Look at this. Set up a nice place with a view into the other valley. And apparently during ski season, you can ski from one valley to the other. Can you imagine? Nice ski, you get a beer, you come over to this log recliner and just look out over the Dolomites. Things just couldn't be better. But believe it or not, things are going to get better, because the next morning we got up and we're going to hike to Santa Croce. Santa Croce used to be a monastery, but it's now a refugio. And it started right outside our hotel room. And you kind of walk up the hillside that is dotted with little farms and cows and vistas, beautiful vistas into the valleys that are just below Santa Croce. And when you came to a gate, you just went through it, and then you had everybody close it, so each farmer's cow stayed where it was supposed to. Let's go to the cow cam and see what they actually eat. A little bit farther down the trail, we came to an actual flour mill run on water power. And actually, even though this is old, it's still used every once in a while during the year. Some wildflowers were still hanging on. But no time to sniff the roses. Gotta keep moving on. And we are starting to enter a larch fir forest. Yes, the road is starting to give way to a little trail. Here's a hay barn, the last remnants of what we're going to see of civilization. And look at that construction. That was log construction at its very best. Here's a look at Richard, our guide. Give us a pose, Richard. He lives in the valley that we've been looking at down below. And on the trail were these religious carvings and boxes, because once a year the townsfolk would make the hike to Santa Croce and do the Stations of the Cross. But that looks like Santa Croce coming up on the ridgeline. Here is the beautiful church, and there is the old monastery that's now a refugio. Pretty stinking picturesque, that's what I say. And it just so happens that we came up on a day when a choir was going to give a concert. First of all, they decided to warm up in the courtyard. we decided to get some lunch, and then we're going to go listen to the choir sing in the chapel. Absolutely magnificent. Well, tomorrow's another day. We're going to head to the tunnels of Lagatsau. And it had rained the night before, so it dropped snow at the higher elevations. So it was a little bit chilly. But this is going to be, what do you call it? Man's monument to stupidity. These trenches and tunnels were dug during World War I when the Italians and the Austrians were fighting one another. And they are just a monument to stupidity of war. They dug these tunnels so they could kill each other, but most of the men died from exposure, sub-0 degrees, with no clothes to take care of the bitter cold. Many of the warriors or soldiers died in these just terrible tunnels that were lit by torches because they didn't have electricity up there, all so that they could kill one another. But the tunnels are pretty cool. It's like you're getting your own gym stair stepper. So we all got together, and we entered the dark tunnels of Lagatsau. And it was 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step down. You just kept going down and down. And you could see the dark charring on the top of the tunnels where the torches had burned. And you could get to where the men had their dinner and their bunks, and you can imagine them just living here, eating and freezing to death during the bitter cold winters of the South Tyrol. Not a pretty picture, is it? We came to a spot where the tunnel actually hit the side of the mountain. But this was on purpose, because this is where they threw all the dirt as they were excavating the tunnels. Also, I guess they had a good view of any enemy that might try and attack them from up there. Eventually, we made it to the outside of the tunnels, and we're going to hike down from our perch down there in the valley. See it? Yeah, we're going to go all the way down there because that's where we started. That's where the gondola was that took us to the top. This is where the group split up. Some of us are going to go on a via ferrata, so we got on another ski lift. Hi. Hello. How you doing? Still jet lagged. Well, anyway, and we got geared up. Look at that. That's the funniest cowtail I've ever seen in my life. But we were ready to go. Yep. We're going over there. See that big mountain in the background? We're going to do a via ferrata, which means way of the iron, or iron way. Here's somebody coming down. We eventually got up the via ferrata, And then we started hiking up to the top of Avarao. And from Avarao, you can see all the way back to the tunnels, and you can see all the way down into the valley, and you can see all the way back to Cortina. And that's where we're going in the next segment. We are going to hike from San Cassiano all the way back to Cortina. And as you look out over this vista, you can see back to the tunnels, that's over to the right, down into the valley, and all the way back a little more. There we go, all the way back in that valley to Cortina.